Lowe's always has more ways for you to save. On top of our everyday low prices, pros can save big when buying in bulk. Or if your purchase is over $1,500, ask about our Volume Savings Program. A pro associate can provide a customized quote. Ask about our Volume Savings Programs today. It always pays to be a pro at Lowe's. While supplies last, minimum purchase required. Selection varies by location. Lowe's reserves the right to limit quantities. Volume discount pricing quotes are valid up to 7 days. Visit your local pro desk to learn more and start saving. Offers subject to change and may not be available in all Lowe's stores.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
WQEE 99.1 FM The Key, home of Southern sports and talk. Noonan, Sharpsburg, Franklin. The views and opinions of this show and program are not the views and opinions of this station, its management, or its clientele. It's now time for Tea Talks with your host, Margie Conway, in association with Connecting Hearts Network, connecting hearts of women to resources, inspiration, and one another. Sponsored by Pia Payne and Contour Mortgage, Warrior Defenders, Happy Life Nutrition, Killingsworth Realtor, and Family Patterns Matter. Now here's your host of Tea Talk, Margie Conway.
Hi, this is Margie Conway. As we get used to our expanded times and our new days of the week, I would like to introduce our new listeners to myself and to our sponsors. So if you could listen, please, to this introductory video. This is one of the first ones that I did to let everyone know who I am, what I stand for, and how our center and network became active. Was presented to start a radio program. I knew this was the next part of God's plan for me. For the last few years, I've been on a healing journey, and it's time to share more of it with you in hopes some part of it helps you find peace and joy in your own life. This year, my word is wholeheartedly, with Colossians 3:13 as my focal verse. It says, whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as if unto the Lord, not men. So here I am, actually a little excited and a little nervous, because this introverted microphone-shy woman is stepping way out of her comfort zone. But I do believe God has a plan that will be beneficial to you and to me. Let me tell you a little bit about me and what has brought us to this point in life. I grew up as an only child in a very dysfunctional family. My dad had drug and alcohol addictions that led to many legal issues and abuse in our family. My mom was an undiagnosed bipolar enabler who had an addiction to him. If it had not been for my paternal grandmother and a maternal aunt, I don't know how I would have made it through, but they were there. My grandmother put me in a Christian school so I'd get a good education, but what I got was a firm foundation in Christ. I found out early on that when I had the lead in the play, or won the spelling bee, both sides of the family stopped fighting with guns and knives in the driveway and behaved to watch me for a little while. So I ended up with a very performance-based flesh pattern, leading me to believe I was only as good as what I could do, and that it was my job to keep everybody else calm and in order. That, and caring for my mom through abuse, made me very much a fix-it person. That is an exhausting and big expectation to put on a child. If you can imagine what growing up with parents like that was like, then you will realize I did experience molestation and abuse as a child and a young teen. At the age of 14, after visiting my dad while he was on the run with my mom, I ended up in a coma from a forced overdose of phenobarbital. That has caused all kinds of health problems through life, so I really understand chronic pain, premature arthritis, and several other nagging issues very well from my experience over the years. don't stop and think, I'm not listening to any more of this. This is just bad and horrifying that somebody grew up that way. Because there's a little bit of drama to the story, but there's also very happy endings. And I have found that when I share even a part of what I grew up in or what happened, through adoption and other issues in my life, that it somehow touches someone else. It either leads them to healing moments or at least to come talk with me about it. At 16, I ended up a teenage mom with a son who, by the way, is turning 40 this Saturday. His dad and I got married, and we had our daughter at 18. 2 other children followed at 19 and 21. But by the time the 3rd child was due, I knew their dad truly had drug and alcohol problems, and we had no idea how to take care of anyone, including ourselves and the 2 children we had, much less 3. A tough choice was made to put him up for adoption, hoping his life would be better than we could offer him. When the 4th child was due, I was devastated and way in over my head. Several circumstances had not changed, and there was no way I could think of raising him after giving his brother away. So the hard decision to place him into adoption was made once again. This mama made sure I could not have any other children, and I closed emotions down except for the 2 children I was raising. Things like this drifted on for about 16 years in that marriage, because after all, it was better than what I grew up in, and maybe I could fix him. I couldn't even fix myself, much less fix him, and he had to want to make those changes. It was very difficult not having any support as a teenage mom. I had my mom and aunts there and, people around, but they didn't really know how to take care of themselves, and so it was really a jumble of everybody trying to figure it out. It was the most important thing to me, though, to have my children and to raise them so that they didn't have to grow up like I did. And I did accomplish that. They didn't go through what I did, but they went through their own things just like we all do. Now I am very proud of them. The oldest one is 40 this weekend, and he's the creative art director for Underground Atlanta. The daughter that I spoke of is now a wedding and events coordinator down at Pine Mountain Club Chalets Resort. The 2 adopted sons both live out in California, and I have had an opportunity to meet both of them. When Josh, who was the oldest, was found, he found us through our link to Elvis Presley, which is kind of an odd thing and always makes people interested. When I was growing up, my maiden name was Presley, and I always heard that we were kin to Elvis. But I never met him, and I never got any money, and I really didn't care. The grown-ups played all the music all the time. I could probably tell you all of the scripts for all of the movies because they stayed on in the house all around the place. But like I said, I never met him, and I didn't get any money, so I didn't care. But in December of 19, oh my gosh, I'm making us older than we are. In December of 2016, that relationship with Elvis played an important part in my life. My oldest adopted son's dad had closed all of his records, and he had no information to go on whatsoever. And he had been searching for his birth family for a very long time. The way he found us is when they started doing DNA, his partner got him a DNA kit and said, try it. And so he waited a year before he tried it. But when he did, he posted it all over on 23andMe and Ancestry, which is, by the way, for any of you adopted children, that's a good way to help find your connections to your family. And a man approached him that said, I have 6 names on a list. They're all 4th cousins of Elvis Presley because I'm doing his genealogy. And one of them should be directly related to you, probably your mom, but I can't guarantee you anything. So he went through searching those names and said he took several of them out very quickly. And of course, I was the last one on the list. He went through Ancestry and he found me through my ex-husband's dad. Now, when we put the children up for adoption, we did not tell anybody. So only me and my husband and one of his friends in the adoption agency knew it, not moms, dads, anybody. And so, we had a lot of truth to be sharing when they came forth. But in December of 2016, through being Elvis's cousin, I got to meet my son for the first time since his birth. And that is what I will forever be an Elvis fan for. We went out to meet him in California and spent a very good time with him. But as adoption is, it causes lots of complications for everybody. The biological parents, the adopted parents, the adopted children. And I do believe in adoption because there are many children who do not, or rather there's many parents who do not need to be parents to these children. But, in my case, it was like a temporary solution to a permanent solution to a temporary situation that I couldn't figure out how to handle any other way. So we do have all these things going on. And then I gave the kids permission, and they found the youngest adopted son, who is an actor in California, and we are building a good relationship with him. So that's some experiences that you will hear, as you drop in on us on Thursdays at 10:30, because that is very important to my life, is those 4 children that I gave birth to. I wanted the good home. In that Christian school I went to, I saw these families where the mom and dad went to church and everybody behaved and did what they did. That's not what I grew up in, and that's not what I married into. But I kept trying to fix him, and I couldn't even fix me, like I said earlier. So we ended up trying to put her along for 16 years until I ended up getting a divorce. Now that changed life in many, many ways. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on through here. After the divorce, there was a few years in transition, but God gifted me with a Christian husband and a church home that gave me all that happiness I craved as a child, and I made my world revolve around it. I worked at the church, I worshiped there, I socialized there, I volunteered there. I made a close bubble that nobody could get into unless I allowed them to, so I could keep my peace in my life. Well, when we think that we have control of things and control of other people, we really don't. We may find ourselves being the abusers ourselves by trying to make everyone do what we think they ought to do, even if we're trying to do it helpfully. Everyone else is responsible for their own choices and their own actions, and all that I can be in control of is my choices and my actions. So here I was, happy in my bubble, and there was like 9 things that happened in 2016 that showed me I wasn't in control of anything. And all of them hit every area of my life in one way or another. So in December, when that son called, I was already kind of teetering on the edge. And I can tell you that July, I'm a little nervous here, guys, so put up with me. In January of 2017, on the 19th, sitting in the Los Angeles airport at 4 o'clock, I had a nervous breakdown that took over me for the next year and a half. My kids got me back home, but then nobody knew what to do with me because all I could literally do was cry and try to breathe. I found out that these people who have anxiety attacks are not really fooling. They're really having anxiety attacks, and it can feel like it's going to kill you. It's so overwhelming. I found out that depression can sink down to your very pits of your soul and bring you into a pit that you don't know how to climb out of. It was devastating to me at that time, and now I know that, it was what they call birth mother regression. If you didn't deal with things, then you eventually have to deal with them. And it wasn't just having to deal with things around adoption, it was having to deal with everything that I had ever just pushed back and walked forward from in life. And that's the kind of person I was. Everything that happened, I said, okay, that's it, that's over, I'm leaving, I'm going this way, and I just walked forward. But I was definitely not an emotional person, and I'm not a sentimental person. And I realized in recent years that God designed me that way, because if I had been emotional or sentimental, I would not have made it through these things. So, yeah, I did kind of get a reputation as being cold and hard and in control all the time. Maybe even a few words that I don't say. But I made sure everybody was doing as good as I could have them do. After that first marriage ended, I went to a counselor, and she told me I had packed away all those events from my childhood and my marriage into suitcases and stacked them in the closet. She said one day they'd have to be dealt with. 2 weeks after that, she told me, oh no, I was dealing with everything very well, and I was only divorced because she had diagnosed my ex-husband with bipolar and he wasn't being treated. Or I was only depressed for that reason, and sent me on my merry way. So this girl shut that door to that. ended up getting introduced to the nice husband that I have now, that I married 3 years later. And that's when I built the bubble at the church. But, and for 20 years, you would have thought that I had it all together, that there was nothing going on. The people that I met down here had no idea I put babies up for adoption, or I grew up in a home with a drug-addicted alcoholic father. They just knew this was somebody who had been a school teacher and a Bible school director from other places and ran daycare centers that was now their church secretary and their friend. I was really good at putting my masks on and hiding things. But after that 2016, where everything was stripped away, guess what? All those suitcases in that closet exploded. Literally, everywhere. Every one of them, all at one time. And so that's when I found the anxiety and the depression hitting in. Like I said, I couldn't move off the floor. I quit the job at the church. I sat at home and cried. My husband and my daughter tried tons of ways to help me, but they could help me. They didn't really even know what I was going through and had no idea, but they were very supportive. He even drove me to Norcross to attend a support meeting for biological parents, and that was the first time that I felt like somebody had a clue of something that I had experienced. Because of course my mom always told me that everything I remembered was a lie, that it wasn't that way. And I didn't talk about it with other people because talking about it just keeps it alive and keeps it going. Well, now talking about it and getting it out in the right situations and under the right help gets you healing and helps you help other people. But it just got bad and nobody knew what to do. And one day in May, I was sitting in the house while my husband was at work, and I had Satan on the other side saying, "You thought you were such a good mama, but you gave your kids away, and one of them was abused, and you're not a good mom. You're a lousy church secretary. Why were you teaching kids? You couldn't take care of your kids." And I knew right then there was a whole closet full of guns back in the back, and I ought to just pick up one of them and end it, because all I was doing was causing everybody distress. I was no use to anybody because I couldn't fix anything for them anymore. But I fled the house, went to the pastor's house. My husband came and got me, and the next morning I showed up at Christian Families Today for counseling. I said, "I need help." They said, 6 months wait. I said, "Oh, no, I don't have 6 months," and they brought me in that afternoon. In that afternoon, I started counseling that turned my world around, because even though I had a strong faith, I relied more on me than I did on God. But going through counseling there, everything that I had gone through, I sit there and worked it out. They have a way of doing your flesh patterns, and you'll tell them an event that you remember in your life, and then you'll tell them what did you do at that event, and then what belief did you get from that? And of course I got a lot of, I'm only as good as what I do, and it's my job to take care of everybody. And like I said, that's a lot for a child, but that's a lot for an adult too. It makes you very tired and you get worn out and you can't take care of anybody else. So I went through all the counseling, and after a couple of months she said, "I think you have the tools to handle anything else that comes up and you'll be okay." And I said, "Oh no, I've kept all this quiet for 50 years. Now I'm going to cover every single bit of it," and I did. I took their discipleship programs, part 1, 2, and 3. Then I took their life coach training, and now I'm doing their pastoral counseling training. After being quiet for 50 years about everything I experienced, I started telling the details of my personal lifetime movie saga to anybody everywhere. And the more that I told parts of my story, the more women that started coming to me about their own adoption issues or abuse issues or addiction issues. I asked God to give me words to say to them, so as He was healing me, He put me through some other courses at a Christian Life University, where I did take certification for a Christian life coach. I took secular life coach training. I have art therapy certifications, and I think He let me throw that in there just because I'm a creative person, and it's so much fun to take something creative to cut some of the tension and all the rest of the stuff that we deal with. I am now in the middle of getting a women's ministry degree and doing things there. And He sent me a program called Her Journey. Her Journey is a program based out of Ohio, and it is a nonprofit that gears their program towards women who have been in abuse or domestic violence situations. It's a 15-week study. And as I went through this study as a participant and then as a leader-to-be, because they have a rigorous training selection for you before you can teach their program, I learned a lot more about myself too. But I realized this program was not just for women who are from domestic violence or abuse. It can help all of us improve our relationships and understand ourselves. So if you happen to be able to come to one of our Her Journey classes, I would recommend that you do. We don't broadcast out loud where they are and when they are, just in case somebody is still in an abusive situation, so we can keep everybody safe. But you can always reach me, and I'll tell you how at the end, and I will be happy to hook you up with it. He sent me a program called Chronic Joy, which is for those with chronic illness, mental health issues, and their caregivers. We just started that at the studio, and both of those programs are free. You know, the Chronic Joy, you can purchase a book, but both of the programs are free. You can come and we can empower and encourage one another, and I will be happy to talk with you anytime you need me to. I've mentioned my studio. He brought me to my studio. It's where we talk, study, learn about essential oils, and do some art therapy with anybody who comes in the door. I love my studio. I once had a craft store, and I loved it. But with this studio, I've been able to take everything that God has put on my heart and put it all into one business. It has the life coaching so that I can help anyone that needs the help, because I strongly believe the things we go through are meant for us to comfort the next person and be able to help them through it, so that we can do that. Otherwise, you went through it for nothing. We have, coaching for goals and things like that. We also have creative art therapy. I have actual programs for people who have anxiety and depression and things to help you through those. And then we do some just to help us manage, our day-to-day. We have open studios, so you can come and we'll make t-shirts, we'll make jewelry, we'll mix up essential oils, we'll do whatever makes you happy at that time. So our studio is located on Perry Street, and it's inside the Happy Life Nutrition Building. You can find the studio through looking up Creative Heart Studio on Instagram or Facebook. And the website for the whole thing is at creativehearttherapy.net. I love our studio and all that it stands for, but God has also brought several women into my circle over the last several months. And every time I finish talking with one of them, I'm like, you've got a reason for that. So one day Ryan walked through the door of Happy Life and talked to Dana, the owner, and said, if you know any women business owners that may be interested in a radio program, have them contact me. So after he'd been there 2 other times and I'd felt that, okay, you need to go talk to him, and I didn't do it, this time I went out and talked to him. And the Connecting Heart Network was born. Our goal with this Connecting Heart Network is to help connect the hearts of women to resources, inspiration, and one another. Ladies, we need to band together, not just for business networking, but for soul support. We need to stop cutting each other down and trying to compete or looking at ourselves through somebody else's eyes. We should give grace to one another, because every single one of us is going through something, and most of us have no idea what that is, because we're really good at putting our masks on and saying, I'm fine. We should surround one another with love and encouragement at every opportunity. And that's going to be what our Connecting Hearts Network will do. We have a group of specially selected mentors that's going to help you on a path to total fitness. And I don't mean diet and exercise, although that will be part of it. We will cover key areas in our life that need to be strengthened as much as possible. Some of these include solidifying your financial and vocational stability. A lot of women are not so talented in that area, and in a lot of cases we had someone who stood up and did it for us, so we didn't have to understand it. We have some very good people lined up that will help us get our finances in order and understand some things and talk about your vocation. We fall into our jobs most of the time. We don't really select them, and even though that works out for a lot of people, maybe there might be gifts and talents you have that you can use in other directions. So we will help you figure that out. I have a group of very fun ladies that's going to help spark your creativity and your spiritual life as we have, seminars and events and things going on, and we will talk on this broadcast about a different topic each week, and I intend to bring the fun ones in between all of the heavy-duty ones so that we can enjoy ourselves as we find peace in our lives. We will touch on growing our ability to control our emotional, psychological, and physical health. On the broadcast, we will have a proven mentor with us to help us on specific topics of resources and inspiration. But we've also set up social media so you can benefit from these mentors in between, too. We plan to sponsor fun events and a retreat. And honestly, I want to have fun and do a lot of art therapy and throw some big tea parties. So consider us your personal life coaches and your joy coordinators. We are working to set up a lot of things for you ladies, and as I've gone through and selected people that I felt held my values, and some of them, have paths that will help you. They're all very strong in their beliefs and very strong in the area that they specialize in. A lot of them are names that you will know around here, like Maria Payton, who is a personal trainer over at Crossroads Gym, and T.L. Brooks, which is one of the local artists and on the Noonan Arts Council. So we plan to get together and say, here's our topic today. Today we're going to talk about your financial health, and we'll cover that, and it's all going to have a good moral, biblical background to it because that's just who I am. We will have something going on all the time. So check out the social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Connecting Hearts Network. Check out us as we go through there in the studio so that you can find out what we have going on there. Now that you know a little bit about where I'm coming from and what we're planning for you through this network, it's time to get our parties started. Check out our social media under Connecting Hearts. Stop by the studio. It is inside the Happy Life Nutrition Shop at 18 Perry Street. And join us when we start this journey. At the studio, I have a quiet little spot in the back where a couple of us can meet quietly. And out front, we have Dana's big dining room from the Happy Life Nutrition Shop. And between Dana and Whitney and myself, there's a lot of Christian girls in there that want to help you be healthy and take care of yourself. In the studio, we have the Her Journey program that goes on somewhere else. We have the Chronic Joy program. We have a book club called You Are Already Amazing. And that helps you find out, here's my talents, here's my gifts, here's my purpose statement of what I'm good at and what I can do. We have all the personality tests. I can tell you right now that I'm an INTP, Enneagram 8, Chloramel, what else do we have? I know I'm a little bit of all these things, and when you do your strengths, I am all about strategy and planning and adaptability, and basically, if you want me summed up in a nutshell, if you got day-to-day stuff, I'm probably not going to be any good at it, and I don't know how much I'll show up for it, and I get bored real easy with it. But if you have a problem that needs fixing, or you have a large event that needs organized, I'm your girl. I can set up something with my eyes closed, and everybody will think that it took lots of effort. But I have found out, the pastor used to say he could give me some markers and a roll of toilet paper and I could decorate the whole church. Thankfully, he didn't make me do that. He gave me a budget so I could buy flowers and everything else. But I'm your big event girl, and I'm your big problem girl, and if the world was ending, I could probably help you figure out a solution to do things, but I'm not the one that's going to plant your food and tell you how to harvest it. But I'll tell you who can, because I'm good at pulling those together. We have a lot of fun in our studio, and people just drop in, or they go online and they schedule a time. And like I said, we have all of the open studio things. I have the vinyl cutters there. I can make you signs and bags and tags and anything you need like that. But I prefer not to do it for you. I prefer to do it with you and show you how to do it and how to access your creativity. We have some community service projects coming up, and I will tell you about those as they go on. But next week, I want you to join us. It's going to be not just me talking and rambling on, because I wrote a script that last night only lasted 10 minutes, so I'm having to okay, Lord, what comes next? Next week, we're going to have one of our mentors with us. It is a local artist, and we figured we're going to start you off with some creative projects. We're going to talk about how our creativity has helped us in a therapeutic manners, and how you can access yours and find yours. Now that you've heard a little bit about me, I would like to introduce you to my fabulous sponsors. Right now we have 5 wonderful women who are there to uplift and empower other women and walk this journey along beside me. Thank you for listening. Today I have decided to go solo because it is the first show of November, and we all know our Novembers are usually about gratitude and thankfulness, and of course that's where I'm going to head this year. It is, without a doubt, I think one of the most important things that you can practice is to have an attitude of gratitude, to focus on your blessings and the good things that you have, and it helps minimize the others and helps you move forward and receive more blessings. And so we have a lineup of guests on here and on Tea Talk of overcomers who have much to be grateful for. But I chose to do today solo, and I have a big purpose in solo. This has been a very big year in my life. We have talked about how I've ended up on the radio without quite knowing how I got here, because before 2022, it was not something that was on my bucket list. But as we are ending the end of the year, I'm very excited. I have really enjoyed this year and all that God has brought into it through this radio program. I have met so many interesting people and learned so much about myself and others, and recording in audio than I ever thought that I could. But, we can look back on our paths and find, parts of God's plan leading us to where we are as we go through. And, when I think about radio program, I had a discussion with my stepson not long ago, and he said it still just totally bewilders him that out of everybody with a radio show, I never liked microphones. I didn't put myself out in front. I was always the admin in the background, getting everybody else ready for what everybody else was doing. And I liked that role. I am really good at that role. This new one, I can guarantee you, is all God, because I am definitely an introvert. And that is not, shyness, but that is very much enjoying my alone time and recharging that way. And even though I went from not liking microphones to carrying one in my purse, I still recharge by having my alone time. When we were talking about, we never thought I'd be on this side of the microphone, and that's part of, my family is pretty artsy and creative. And in case I haven't told you yet, but I think I have, we do have, an Elvis Presley in our ancestral lineage, so that's kind of cool. But you can look at our family members and you can see that, the creativity and the artistic abilities come through in many different ways. And I guess for this season, this is where mine is sitting. I can go back and look when I was a teenager, about 15, and I was in a college prep summer course at Mercer University, and they did aptitude tests and all kinds of things to help you determine which way you should go as you, headed into college and afterwards. And they put me in a broadcast journey there. They started teaching me then how to handle radio and TV broadcasting and newspaper. And that is just so awesome to sit there and think about. And of course it was many years ago, since I was 15 or 16. But we would get on the bus in Atlanta and head there every Saturday and have a great time. And then, me and my friend would stop and have lunch on the way home and stuff. And so it was a really great summer that we did that program. And somewhere around here I have a little photocopied print newspaper that we put together at that point as part of our testing and things. And so even back then, God had a plan that I never would have expected. Then, life got busy. I had kids, I raised kids, I stumbled through whatever I could, and I kind of fell into, the teaching, and then I fell into the church secretary part. And for the church secretary part, I ended up being on the production side of TV and radio broadcasting. The pastor did a weekly television series, and he also, for a time, did radio, so did others on staff at that point. And so I ended up on the production end of it, especially during the years it was the two of us working together and no one else on staff, because we had lots of volunteers, but, I fell into the editing part. And it would be something else. Even then, this is starting back 20 years ago, we had great, big, huge television cameras that we used and had to plug up and learn how to do. And we would have to import that into our computer and then take it in through Adobe and do all of the editing and cutting and sound and things. And I'll tell you, I don't have a musical background or a good ear for sound. I had to learn how to do the sound adjustments through watching the gauges and the lights and the sound waves, so I can expand the sound wave and cut it down to a second on that. But if I'm trying to do it by ear, I'm not that great at doing it. It is awesome to sit there and think that even as I was learning to do that God knew that, 15 years down the line, I would be doing what I can to share his story and to share how others have found him through their journeys, on a program like this. We did CDs through the church, we did a radio program, I even learned how to do a website through doing that. Someone handed me a book as they were leaving the church and said, "Here, I think you'll need that." And it was Microsoft Front Page. And boy, did I end up needing that. So, I wore many different hats through that end of it. And I worked with some great preachers and singers and things as we did the program, because anytime we would have a guest come through, we would ask them if they would, pre-record a segment for us to use later. And again, this was, starting 15, 20 years ago, and we used big cameras. We had this tape deck that you had the cassettes in and all the audio equipment, so you would do the audio on cassette tapes, people, and then you would have to convert that into something you could put onto a computer so you could send it over to where it needed to go. We did VHS tapes when we started, where I would literally go to the television station and give our program to the producers each time. And so we've come a long way from this little bitty tiny dual recorder that I have in my hand that cuts out the background noise, and all I've got to do is hook it up by Bluetooth to my computer and import the audio and cut it really good in Audacity and send it over to Ryan. So I've learned a lot, and I'm very blessed with that. And like I said, I have really enjoyed myself. And back to my conversation with my stepson a couple of weeks ago, when he said he was surprised still that I'm the one on the radio. I'm like, yeah, I am too. But one of the biggest surprises to me about being on the radio is the fact that I have sponsors sponsoring me to be on the radio and talk to you guys. And they are a great group of women. And so one reason I wanted to do solo today is I wanted to concentrate a minute on my sponsors. I wanted to tell you about this awesome group of ladies who have joined with me in Connecting Hearts Network to be able to bring our resources and inspiration and community to you guys. And so I'm very blessed with the ladies that I have. Now, I have been selective on the ones that I've gotten involved in because I want people that, I feel comfortable promoting, and people that I know will promote our program back. And so when we first started talking about this in January, and Ryan mentioned, well, you get sponsors for your radio show, and that's who helps pay for the airtime and stuff. The first name that popped into my mind was Pina Payne. Locally, Pina Payne is well known. She is local mortgage counselor, loan originator. I'm not sure what the title is, Pina, I'm so sorry. But she is now working with Contour Mortgage here in town. And I found out that means that she's licensed in Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and Florida and maybe a Carolina. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to post her information when I start circulating this so you can find out for yourself if you're somewhere that's not exactly local to me that needs help. But, the ladies that I have that are supporting me, we do a lot locally, but we are moving the reach so that it goes, far out of Georgia, and you can watch Pina and the things that she does and know that, she is working on your behalf. Pina's name popped to mind because, first of all, I know that we share a good belief system in common. I met Pina at my local church 25 years ago next March. And so for 25 years, just about, we have been working together, doing the children and the ladies and different events and things at the church. And we have become friends through there. She knew my husband before I knew him, and she is always the one that has done any refinancing or loans, equity loans or anything regarding the house, through Pina, because she gives you very good service. It's very personalized, and she's very good at what she does. So we are very comfortable using her for those needs. But as a person, I can tell you, Pina is very family oriented. She is a great mom and grandmother, and she is very family oriented. She is taking care of her parents who have now passed, and she takes care has taken care of her daughter that needed it for years. And you rarely see Pina without seeing her family members around her. Pina is interested in empowering women and having them know the resources that they can, and helping them, build up their financial understandings, which was great on the last episode we did about women's finances for Tea Talks. She wants to be able to encourage you, and on the back of her business card and usually over the door to her office and anywhere else, she will tell you God won't bring you to it if He's not going to carry you through it. And I have seen her faithfulness and God carrying her through in many directions. So I want to send a big thanks to Pina Payne for being our first sponsor and for sticking with us through all of the growth and different things we're going. I can't wait to continue working with you, Pina, on that. Our next sponsor to come online was, and I'm going through this in my head so I can kind of remember everything. Our next sponsor was Dana Hodges O'Neill. She is the owner of Happy Life here in town, and I have told you several times before that if Dana did a spiritual gifts inventory, she's going to pop up with hospitality, because that girl never meets a stranger. You come in that door and you walk out knowing you have friends and you have a comfortable place to go, and she's got it decorated real cute, and she's concerned with helping you with your healthy needs. Pina is a mom. Pina is a grandmom. Pina is, she exercises and eats right, and so she encourages me in those areas, because I don't always do that the way that I need to. And like I said, she never meets a stranger. She knows them through somebody, but even if they didn't have a prior connection, like I said, they never leave the door without having a friend there. And so Pina has joined in, and I have my studio in Pina's shop, and together we have done several workshops. We've done a tea talk or two. We've invited people in to be able to, encourage the women. We run our groups right now out of Happy Life, and we have people that comes in just to fellowship together. It is a good, comfortable place to go where everyone knows everybody. It's kind of like that TV show that used to be Cheers, and it is a bar, and we don't have alcoholic drinks, but this is definitely the place where everybody knows your name. And so I want to thank Dana for coming along beside me this last year and for the things that we have coming up in the future, for supporting us and giving us a place to meet. Then we have Holly Reese. Holly Reese is I hear people say my sister from another mister, and Holly is my very good friend. I haven't known her as long as I have some of the others, but with Holly, from the moment we met, I kind of looked at where she was in life, and I was like, I don't know if she's going to be able to pick up this self-defense things and this Gamsel, which I was selling at the time, but she joined forces with me, and I tell you what, that girl has blossomed and bloomed in what she does. She seriously takes being a domestic violence survivor, being a warrior woman, and teaching others how to be warrior women too, to the extreme. She is great with it. It wasn't very long before I felt comfortable stepping out of my damsel business and turning it all over to Holly. And she has taken it and gone through to hand-to-hand combat and other classes that she can teach you. She is a Nick DeRosa's certified trainer. She is all about teaching women to take care of themselves, to protect themselves, to be cautious where they're at, to know how, if they end up in a difficult situation, to get out of it. And together, I think we're kind of a dynamic duo. She takes care of one side of your safety and healing, and I take care of the other side of it. And I'm glad she's got the more physical side, because I didn't know that I could do all of that. And I'm very proud to be able to say Holly is not just a sponsor. Holly is a really good friend. She is married. She is a dog mom. She loves her pets. She trains service dogs. She is a little bit into all kinds of things, and if you're in our local area, you know her because it's all over her car where she runs around town. But she teaches local classes and online virtual classes for women's self-defense. I strongly urge that you go and you find these classes and participate in them. It will make you a changed woman. First of all, you'll be able to protect yourself if you end up in a difficult situation, but besides that, it just builds an enormous amount of confidence to the men. And so it's when I got my Her Journey certification for teaching the classes to domestic violence and abuse survivors, Holly was the first person I called because I knew that it would mean to her what it does to me. And together we build up the local groups to be able to teach them. And in the future, we plan on having some warrior women and warrior and training workshops for teens and for women so that we can teach you how to be the best that you can psychologically, emotionally, and physically. And so I urge you to look out for those classes as you come. But I thank Holly from the bottom of my heart for being one of my heroes and also being a champion for me. Then we have Linda Kirkpatrick. I don't know where the Fitzpatrick was coming from. It is most definitely Linda Kirkpatrick. And she is the founder and director of a local nonprofit called Family Patterns Matter. I had heard of Linda for many years that I've been in Union. So, that's at least 28 years I've been in Union. And Linda has always been extremely active in our community. She was the one responsible for getting the women's shelter in town started up several years ago, which I know quite a few women personally that it has impacted and helped. Linda now does Family Patterns Matter, and she does that because she has a heart for the kids. She said even when running the shelter, she would have a heart for the kids that would come through there, and she would want to be able to teach them resilience and, how to rise above the situation they're in. And that's what Family Patterns Matters does, is it takes the kids that needs a little extra help and helps them find tutoring and mentoring and experience things that they wouldn't get to experience otherwise because of finances or the situations they're in. She does great work with these kids, and if you want someone to sponsor or you're looking for something you can start in your community, I urge you to follow Linda. She is a mom and a grandmom and one of my big heroes personally. She is also one of the biggest champions of this network. She passes our bags out. She tells everybody everywhere about Connecting Hearts and about her journey classes and the things that we do. So I want to thank Linda for being an absolutely wonderful partner in this mission that we've been called to be into. So the last one that we had join, almost, was Amy Killingsworth. Amy Killingsworth is with Killingsworth Realty. She is also a Gold doTERRA team leader. I met Amy through doTERRA Essential Oils, and we're on the same team. She's kind of like my aunt in direct sales genealogy. And I've seen her for many years run her team successfully. But the thing that always impressed me most is Amy runs her business through a God view. She does everything through the view of how God would want to do it and how to manage it that way. And I love this about Amy. We have been through some similar trainings at our local counseling center, Christian Families Today. And so the advanced discipleship training they've done, I know Amy's been through it with her husband, and I've been through it. So I know that we have a lot of opportunities available since we have expanded to the hour. And we always love to have great guests on our show that have overcomer stories or highlight local events and businesses that are going on. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach me at Connecting Hearts Network at gmail.com or find us on Facebook at Connecting Hearts Network and reach out, and perhaps you could be a guest on our show or join us as one of our sponsors for all the things that we have planned to benefit the women in our community. Thanks for listening, and we'll look forward to touching base with you later.
Moving is a big decision. Selling or buying a home in any market, but especially today's, can raise a lot of questions. Hi, I'm Amy with Killingsworth Realty. My husband Todd and I serve the Coweta and local area. Our purpose at our first meeting is to learn your goals, answer questions, and provide resources so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Find us online at killingsworthrealty.com or call 678-525-0047 to schedule a free consultation today to discuss your real estate needs. You don't have to do this alone.
Hi, I'm Holly Reese. I'm the founder of Warrior Defenders. I'm a certified tactical self-defense instructor, and I specialize in women's self-defense. I teach technical drills for survival skills and education on self-defense tools and how to use them. My journey started in self-defense because I'm a domestic violence survivor. I'm here to empower women, to teach them how to be their own heroes, and to learn today to have a safer tomorrow.
You can find Holly online at www.warriordefenders.com.
Hello, I'm Pina Payne with Contour Mortgage, and we're so excited. We have just moved to this new company, and we are located at 560 Noonan Crossing Bypass in Noonan next to Art and Jake's, and we have some great products. Our interest rates are better than any other companies, and we also have some great products for the VA. We can do a better deal for you with fees than any other company. We have a lot of different kind of programs.
This is Margie from Connecting Hearts Network. I'd like you to take just a moment and listen to Linda Kirkpatrick explain to you what Family Patterns Matters is all about.
Family Patterns Matter works with youth and their families to help overcome barriers that prevent their success. We meet twice a month with mentoring, tutoring, teaching life skills, resilience, gratitude, and kindness. We also bring music and art therapy. Please visit our website at www.familypatternsmatter.org.
Shopping for insurance doesn't have to be stressful. I'm Christy, owner of Ellsworth Insurance, located here in Newnan, Georgia. We are an independent agency with access to multiple carriers for home, auto, life, health, and commercial insurance. We are your one-stop shop for your insurance needs. Visit our website at www.insurewithellsworth.com or call the office at 770-755-7053 to schedule an appointment. We look forward to meeting you soon.
You have been listening to Tea Talks with Margie Conway in association with Connecting Hearts Network, connecting hearts of women to resources, inspiration, and one another. Tune in next week for another episode of Tea Talks.
1819 News.
Alabama state lawmaker.
Lowe's always has more ways for you to save. On top of our everyday low prices, pros can save big when buying in bulk. Or if your purchase is over $1,500, ask about our volume savings program. A pro associate can provide a customized quote. Ask about our volume savings programs today. It always pays to be a pro at Lowe's. While supplies last, minimum purchase required. Selection varies by location. Lowe's reserves the right to limit quantities. Volume discount pricing quotes are valid up to 7 days. Visit your local pro desk to learn more and start saving. Offers subject to change and may not be available in all Lowe's stores.